All right, welcome back, 3rd and 4th grade. We're going to start with our sniglet of the week. Our sniglet of the week is the word speeb. Speeb. Let's see if I can turn my pen on here. You know, the difficult thing about typing these sniglets out is that my computer thinks I'm spelling a word wrong and it tries to correct me. It thought that this one was speed, but I do think that word is related. So this is a made-up word. It's a noun, and they came up with a name for the beeping noises made by construction or service vehicles when they are backing up. Speeb. I thought that was pretty funny. So next time you hear that, you can say, oh, do you hear the speeb? They have their speeb turned on. Next, we're going to talk about our Shakespeare quotation. This one is eaten out of house and home from the play Henry IV by Shakespeare. Now, maybe you've heard somebody say, oh, he's going to eat me out of house and home. It's kind of a funny saying when you think about it because house and home mean the same thing. So it's a little bit redundant, but it has a nice ring to it and it has stuck. So now, several hundred years later, we're still using it. Eaten out of house and home. Next, we're going to talk about our Proverbs. Our Proverbs is Proverbs 15:2. It says, the tongue of the wise commends knowledge. Commends is a fancy word for shows. But the mouths of fools pour out folly. Now, if you notice, the word fool and folly kind of have some of the same letters, F-O-L, because folly is another word for foolishness, which is a word related to fools. So you see a connection. A wise person, when they open their mouth, knowledge comes out. A foolish person, when he opens his mouth, foolishness comes out. So what comes out of you shows what kind of person you are. So think about the words that you say or the words that you write. They show what's in your heart. That's one of the principles that we see all throughout Scripture. Next, we're going to get on to our lesson. So we're going to talk today about how to build a strong sentence. Now, hopefully by now, you are learning what a subject is and what a predicate is. Now, if you're taking notes, which I hope you are, I'm going to tell you a couple important things about this that you probably have read, but even if you haven't, I want to add some things to this. So the subject tells us who or what the sentence is about. The predicate tells us what the subject is doing or what the action is of the sentence. So hopefully you've been practicing this with your grammar, but you could have a man looks at the bird. Well, in this sentence, the sentence is about the man. That's the subject. And normally, almost always, the subject is at the front. Looks is the verb, and we would call the whole rest of the sentence the predicate. So this would be your predicate. A man, S, subject, looks at the bird, P for predicate. Now, a good sentence has a very clear subject and a very clear verb. And it gives us that the two should go together and be inseparable. Here's one of my personal goals for you is to learn how to write sentences that are better than a sentence like this. Watch this one. This is not a good sentence. There are lots of cookies. Now, you might say this in your everyday, but what's the subject here? Well, you could argue that lots is, but really it's there. And what's your verb? Are. There are? What is there? We don't really know. What does are mean? It just means it exists. And lots of cookies, lots. There are better words than that, right? In fact, let's look at my columns below. So I made a column of 5 sample subjects in a column of 5 sample verbs. Or I'm going to put a P here because that's going to be the beginning of your predicate. What if I added the verb are in this column and is? You could, if you were to sit here and I were to say, match each subject with its corresponding predicate. Well, squirrels could go with are. Squirrels are. Hedgehogs could go with are. Hedgehogs are. Deer could go with are or is because it could be singular or plural. The deer is or deer are. Rabbit is. Turtle is. But what does this tell me about my subject? Nothing. It's like a verbal equal sign. It doesn't really tell me anything. We have to write some more words for it to make any sense. This is what I would prefer. I would prefer for you to think of an interesting, exciting verb that tells me exactly what you're trying to say. So instead of saying, watch this, I could say, oh, I don't know if I want, yeah, I can do that. I could say that the squirrels are fast and the squirrels are running around the yard. Or I could say the squirrels, do you see it? Scamper. Ooh, scamper means all of that. It means that they are fast and they're running around in different directions and they're moving very quickly, just in one word. You can visualize what I'm trying to say. What about some of these other ones? You could say turtles are slow. They move very slowly, little by little. I could write a long sentence with turtles are, or the turtle is, right? Or I could pick a word from this column that tells me all of that in one word. What is that? Crawls. Because turtles, the word crawls captures all of that. It captures slow moving, not quick, not fast, not in jerky movements like you would think of scamper. It captures all of that in one word. A turtle crawls. So try to pick a word that captures more than one idea. So for your homework, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take these subjects and these verbs and find the match and then finish the sentence. So if we use our first, I'll help you with the first one, and then you can do these 4 by yourself. So the first one is squirrels scamper. So on your paper, you're going to write, I'll do it on your homework page, you're going to write number 1. Squirrels scamper. And then I want you to add a little bit more. You can say, up the tree. You could say up the tree in my yard. Or you could say up the big oak tree. And you could add a word to this phrase that we already have, up the big oak tree. Make it as interesting as you can without being silly. So don't say something ridiculous that squirrels don't do, but keep it very realistic, but precise. Precise means say exactly what you mean. Also, when you write these sentences, try to pay attention to make the first letter of the sentence capital, and make sure you include an end punctuation. And all of these sentences that we're doing should have a period. So in the end, you should have 5 sentences. I do want you to copy number 1, squirrel scamper, but I want you to create your own ending to this sentence. Up the tree, in my yard, through the drain pipe, whatever you do, squirrel, scamper, finish the sentence. So for your homework, you're going to build 5 strong sentences using my subjects and predicates, the ones that are right here, okay? And then you're going to add another interesting detail to the sentence by answering the question, where or how. So, squirrels scamper where? Or squirrels scamper how? And just as one more example, I took the subject man and I took the verb hobbled. Don't you like that verb hobbled? I could have just said the old man. I could just say the man walked, or even more boring, the man is going across the driveway, is walking. But instead, I chose the word hobbled because can't you envision him walking? Now I don't have to say, I could say the man walked slowly with a limp, little by little, not very smoothly across the driveway. Or I could just say hobbled. The old man hobbled where? Across the driveway with his walker. Did you like that little detail? Because if he's hobbling, he probably has to hold on to something, right? He probably can't do it by himself very well. So that was my sentence that I created. So you need to create 5 strong sentences and include all those details. So if you're a parent or a teacher and you're grading this assignment, I would grade each element. So for each sentence, 5 sentences, I would make sure it had a strong subject and predicate. I already gave them that, but they need to make sure they match and they're in the right place. Then I would check for the added element. So answer the question where or how. Parents, that will look like probably a prepositional phrase or an adjective or an adverb. They don't need to know what they're called. They just need to add a detail for each sentence. So that would be 5 more. And then I would check for a capital letter and an end punctuation. So that would be 10 more. So altogether, you're looking at 15 plus 15, so 30 possible points. So they can have 6 points per sentence. You follow? Check for the capital, check for the period, that's 2, check for the subject and the predicate, that's 4, check for the detail. So did I get that right? And the added detail. So I guess, let's see. No, I guess that's 25. That's 5 elements per sentence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 25 possible points. All right. I hope you enjoy writing these sentences. We'll have some more and we'll learn some new fun ones for next week.